My friend, do you realize that within you, yes, within your very being, there is a light that no darkness, no trial, no sorrow, no storm can ever put out? You may not feel it every day. You may walk through seasons where the clouds are thick, where life feels uncertain, and where shadows surround your path. Yet still, deep within you there is a light, and that light is not your own. It is the gift of God Almighty. Light is powerful. It does not ask permission from the night. It simply shines. A single candle in a great dark room overpowers the shadows. That, my friend, is who you are in this world. You may be small in the eyes of others. You may be overlooked, even criticized, even rejected. But if you belong to God, His light is burning in you, and no darkness, no enemy can extinguish it. Let us walk together through 7 truths about this light that you carry. This light within you is not something you manufactured. It is not something you created by your own effort or earned through your own worthiness. It is a gift. Oh, how liberating this truth is. You see, if the light within you depended on your performance, your goodness, your perfection, then it would flicker and fade every time you stumbled, every time you failed, every time your humanity showed. But this light is not rooted in you. It is rooted in the unchanging nature of God Himself. And because it comes from Him, it cannot be taken away. Think about this. When God said, "Let there be light," in the beginning of creation, the universe did not argue. Darkness did not debate. The light simply appeared because God had spoken. That same authority, that same creative power is what placed His light inside of you. It was not given as a reward. It was given because He chose to place His glory in His children. You carry something divine, not because you worked for it, but because He willed it. How many of you have felt unworthy of carrying that light? How many times have you said, "Lord, I am too weak. I am too flawed. I have made too many mistakes"? Oh, my friend, let me remind you, the fact that you are unworthy does not disqualify you from the light. It proves how much you need it. God did not choose perfect vessels. He never has. He chose people who were broken, people who had scars, people who had nothing to boast about. He did it so that when the light shines, all the glory returns to Him and not to us. Consider Moses. He was a man who said he could not speak well. He tried to argue with God that he wasn't fit to stand before Pharaoh. Yet God's light burned so strongly within him that even after he came down from the mountain, his face shone with glory. Consider Gideon. He called himself the least in his family, from the weakest clan. But God lit a fire in him that defeated armies. And think of Paul, who once persecuted the very faith he later preached. He was blinded by earthly ambition until God's light filled his life, and from then on, he became a torchbearer to the nations. What do these lives tell us? That the light is never about us. It is about Him. The weaker the vessel, the brighter His light appears. The more unqualified the person, the more astonishing His glory shines. So when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if you can possibly make it, remember, this light did not originate with you, so you do not have the power to extinguish it. Darkness may press against you. The world may criticize you. You may feel as if everything you once stood on has crumbled beneath your feet. But the flame within you will not go out. It is not sustained by your strength, but by the breath of Almighty God. Even when you feel like the smallest candle, remember that a single flame can pierce through miles of darkness. I remember hearing a story of a man who lived during a time of war. His city was bombed and destroyed, and all he had left was a single candle in the basement of a ruined building. Night after night, he lit that one candle. At first he thought it was just for himself, just to bring him a little comfort. But then neighbors, who had also lost everything, would gather around. Soon, one candle became the center of a small circle of hope. In the darkness of devastation, that little flame kept despair away. That is the power of the light within you. You may think it is small. You may think it is only enough for yourself. But friend, God placed it in you, not only to sustain you, but to bring hope to others. That is why it cannot be earned. If you earned it, you could boast in it. If you created it, you could control it. But because it came from God, you can only humbly carry it, letting it shine through you, knowing it is His hand that keeps it burning. So stop disqualifying yourself. Stop saying you don't deserve the light. Of course you don't. None of us do. That is what makes it so marvelous. Grace is unearned. Mercy is undeserved. And the light within you is proof that God has not abandoned you. It is proof that He believes your life is worth filling with His presence. And so when the night whispers to you that you are not enough, answer back with this truth: the light in me is not mine. It is God's. And because He gave it, no darkness, no fear, no failure can ever take it away. When you walk through the darkest seasons of your life, it can feel as though the shadows are pressing in from every side. Sometimes the pain is so heavy you wonder if your faith has failed. Sometimes the grief is so deep you cannot see how the morning could ever come. But here is the marvelous mystery of the light God has placed within you. It shines brightest when the night is darkest. If life were always easy, if skies were always blue, we would never truly recognize the power of that light. It is in the midnight hour, when everything seems lost, that the radiance of God within you reveals itself most clearly. Think about the stars in the sky. During the day they are still there. They have not disappeared, but you cannot see them because the sun's brilliance hides them. It is only when the night falls that you can behold their beauty. So it is with your life. The light within you is always there, but in times of joy and comfort you may not notice its depth. It is when the darkness surrounds you that the glory of God within you begins to shine unmistakably. Perhaps you have felt that the darkness in your life is too strong. Perhaps the trial is too heavy. The enemy whispers, "You will not survive this storm. You will not make it through this night." But friend, remember, a single candle in a room of shadows defeats the darkness. Darkness does not fight with the light. It simply flees. The darker the room, the more that one flame stands out. Your trial does not diminish the light. It magnifies it. There was once a woman who went through great tragedy. She lost her husband and was left to raise her children alone. She struggled. She wept. She asked God why. But through those years, she carried herself with quiet strength and faith. She did not even realize how others were watching her. Years later, one of her children said, "Mama, it was your light in those dark times that taught me what faith really means." What she thought was her weakest hour was actually the moment her light shone brightest. You see, you never know who is watching you in your midnight hour. Your endurance, your prayers, your quiet trust, they may be guiding someone else out of their darkness. In the scripture, Paul and Silas found themselves beaten and locked in a prison cell. Midnight fell and the prison was dark and heavy. Yet they chose to lift their voices in song. They prayed and sang hymns to God, and their light shone in that place so powerfully that the prison shook, the chains fell off, and even the jailer fell to his knees, asking how he might be saved. Do you see it? In the darkest hour, their light became a beacon of freedom for others. Had they never gone to prison, had they never endured that trial, the light would not have reached that jailer's heart. And so it is with you. The trial you face today, the midnight you walk through, it may be the very stage God has chosen to reveal His power through your life. You may feel broken, but someone else sees strength in your perseverance. You may feel lost, but someone else sees direction in your faith. You may feel weary, but someone else sees drawing courage from your endurance. That is why the darkness cannot win. Instead of extinguishing the light, it makes it more visible. Do not despise the night season. Do not curse the storm, for within that darkness, God is allowing your light to shine in ways you may never see with your own eyes. One day, perhaps in eternity, you will realize how many lives were touched because you held on in faith when everything around you told you to give up. The world is full of people who have never seen true hope. They live surrounded by shadows, but when your light shines in your darkest hour, they see something different, something supernatural, something they cannot explain. That is when they begin to ask, what is the source of this strength? What is the reason for this hope? And your life points them to God. So the next time you find yourself surrounded by darkness, remember this is not the end of your story. It is the moment your light is needed most. The darker the night, the brighter you shine. Do not be afraid of the darkness. It is only the canvas on which the glory of God will paint His masterpiece through your life. There are times in life when it feels as if your light has gone out. The burdens weigh heavy, disappointments gather like clouds, and you wonder if the flame inside you has dimmed beyond recovery. You may look at yourself and say, there is nothing left in me to shine. But here is the promise: light cannot remain hidden forever. Even when you feel smothered by circumstances, even when you feel buried under layers of fear, grief, or failure, the light of God within you will rise again. It may seem hidden for a moment, but it has not been extinguished. Think of the seed planted deep in the soil. When it is covered by dirt, it looks lifeless. No one can see it growing. To the outside eye, it appears as though it has been forgotten, buried, lost in darkness. But underground, something unseen is happening. The seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and life is pushing upward. Soon, the tiny green shoot will break through the surface, visible to all. That is how the light within you works. What looks hidden, what looks buried, is only being prepared for revelation. There may be seasons when you feel overlooked. Others may not notice the good you are doing, the faith you are holding, the prayers you are whispering. You may think, why do I keep trying? No one sees, no one cares. But my friend, the God who placed the light in you sees. And just as the sun must rise each morning without fail, your light will break forth when the time is right. I remember a story of a man who worked quietly in a small town, serving faithfully in his church, helping his neighbors and raising his children in truth. He felt invisible. He thought he was living a small, unimportant life. Yet years later, when his children grew and left home, they carried the very values he had instilled. One became a teacher who inspired hundreds of students. Another became a nurse who cared for countless patients. Another became a leader in the community. What that father thought was hidden, his faithfulness, his steady light, was shining all along through the lives he had touched. His light could not stay hidden. Jesus once said that no one lights a lamp and then hides it under a basket. Instead, they set it on a stand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. You may feel as if your life is under a basket right now. Perhaps you are in a job where no one values your effort. Perhaps you are in a family where your love is not returned. Perhaps you are fighting private battles no one knows about. But the truth is this: God will not allow your light to remain hidden forever. He will lift it. He will place it where others can see it, where it can fulfill its purpose. Even when you try to hide, the light will find a way out. Jeremiah the prophet once said that God's word was like a fire shut up in his bone. He tried to stay silent, but he could not. The fire had to come forth. In the same way, the light God has placed within you cannot stay buried. You may think your mistakes disqualify you, but His mercy says otherwise. You may think your past defines you, but His light outshines every shadow. You may think your time has passed, but He says the flame will rise again. Some of the most radiant lights are those who thought their story was over. Take Peter, who denied knowing Jesus 3 times. In that moment, his light seemed to fade. Shame covered him like a shroud. Yet later, when he was restored, his light burned brighter than ever before, and he became a rock upon which the early church was built. What looked hidden was only waiting to burst forth with greater brilliance. So, if you feel buried right now, remember, the seed must go into the ground before it sprouts. If you feel overlooked, remember, the dawn always comes after the night. If you feel like your light is hidden, remember, God has appointed a moment when He will uncover you, and the glow within you will shine forth to encourage others. The truth is this: darkness cannot bury what God has lit. Delay is not denial. Silence is not abandonment. Your light is alive, and in the perfect moment it will rise again, stronger, brighter, and more purposeful than before. Your light was never meant to shine only for yourself. God placed it within you so that it could guide others who are wandering in darkness, searching for direction, longing for hope. Have you ever considered that your faithfulness, even in the smallest acts, might be the very thing that helps another soul find their way? So often we think our lives are too ordinary, too insignificant to matter. But light does not have to be great in size to make a difference. It only has to shine. Lighthouse standing on a rocky shore does not move toward the ships. It simply shines where it has been placed, and the ships are guided home. That is your calling, to shine right where you are. There are people around you right now who are walking through storms you cannot see. They smile in public, but behind closed doors they are breaking. They laugh with others, but when they are alone, tears fall. They are searching for a sign, a glimmer of hope that life can be better, that there is a reason to go on. Your light, your kindness, your prayers, your steady faith may be that very sign. You may not even realize it, but the way you respond to trials, the way you love when it is not easy, the way you forgive when it hurts, those choices shine like a beacon to someone else who has lost their way. I remember hearing of a young woman who worked in a hospital. She was not a preacher, not a teacher, not someone with a public platform. She was simply a nurse. Yet the way she treated her patients, with gentleness, with patience, with compassion, made such a difference that one patient later said, "When I had lost all faith in God, she was the reason I began to believe again." Do you see it? She was just doing her work, but her light was guiding someone else's soul back to God. You may never stand on a stage, but your life may be the pulpit from which someone hears the truth. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." Not just the preacher, not just the prophet, but you. And he went on to say that a city on a hill cannot be hidden. In other words, your life is meant to be seen, not seen for your glory, not seen for applause, but seen so that others may look at you and be drawn to the one who is the source of your light. When you choose integrity in a world that celebrates compromise, your light shines. When you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, your light shines. When you refuse to give up in the face of adversity, your light shines. And someone somewhere is watching. Perhaps it is your children. They see you praying when money is tight. They see you holding on when life is difficult. Your light is teaching them what words cannot. Perhaps it is a coworker, someone who notices the calmness in your spirit when everyone else is stressed. They may never say it aloud, but your light is speaking louder than any sermon. Perhaps it is even a stranger, someone who encounters your smile, your kindness, and finds renewed strength to keep. We live in a world that is hungry for direction. People are chasing after temporary lights, success, fame, possessions that flicker and die out quickly. But the light within you is eternal, and it points to something greater than yourself. It points to God, the true source of life and hope. When others see that light in you, it awakens in them a longing for the same source, the same peace, the same strength. Think of the Good Samaritan. He did not preach a sermon. He simply stopped, helped, cared, and paid the price for someone who had been beaten and left for dead. His light guided a broken man back to life. Friend, that is what your light does. It lifts, it heals, it comforts, it directs. And you may never know the full impact of it until eternity reveals how many people found their way because you simply chose to keep shining. So never underestimate the power of your life as a guide. You may feel small, but your light may be leading someone out of despair. You may feel unnoticed, but your light may be pointing someone toward hope. You may feel weak, but your light may be showing someone else the strength of God. And when that soul finds their way, it will not be because of your brilliance, but because God placed His light within you to lead them home. The moment you begin to walk in the light of God, you must understand something. You will face opposition. The enemy does not waste his time attacking those who carry nothing. It is the light bearers he fears. For he knows that wherever you go, shadows are forced to flee. That is why the attacks come. That is why fear whispers, why discouragement presses in, why lies try to settle in your mind. But let me assure you, as surely as God is faithful, no attack can extinguish the light He has placed within you. The forces of darkness are real, but they are not stronger than the flame of God. Think of it this way. Have you ever entered a dark room with just a small candle? You notice how quickly the shadows shrink back. No matter how large the darkness may seem, it cannot overpower even the tiniest flame. That is the truth about the battles you face. The enemy may come in with threats, with storms, with trials that seem overwhelming, but he cannot put out what God has lit. He may shake you, but he cannot snuff you out. He may surround you, but he cannot silence the light within you. Consider Job, a man who faced attacks on every side. He lost his wealth, his children, even his health. To many, it looked as though his light had gone out. His own friends thought he was finished. But deep inside, there was a flame the enemy could not touch. Job said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That trust was the light. And when the darkness thought it had won, God restored Job, and his latter days were greater than his beginning. What does this tell us? That the attacks may be fierce, but they cannot destroy what God himself sustains. You may be going through a storm right now. Perhaps you feel weary of the battle. The whispers of the enemy tell you that you will not make it through. But let me remind you, he is a liar. He is the father of lies. He cannot tell the truth. When he says you are finished, it means your breakthrough is near. When he says your light has gone out, it means your flame is burning too brightly for his comfort. The fact that you are under attack is often proof that your light is shining, that you are carrying something precious, something powerful, something that threatens his kingdom. Even the Apostle Paul knew this well. He was beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, mocked, and left for dead. Yet every time he rose again, he carried within him a light that no attack could extinguish. He wrote, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." Do you hear it? That is the testimony of the light-bearer. The attacks came, but the flame endured. There is also something you must see. Sometimes the attack itself becomes the stage for God's light to shine brighter. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, it looked as if the darkness had won, but the lions' mouths were shut, and the light of God's protection shone so powerfully that even the king declared, "The God of Daniel is the living God." The attack became the testimony. The enemy meant to destroy, but God used it to reveal his glory. That is why you must not fear when the battle comes. Do not tremble when the enemy tries to surround you. Remember that the flame inside you is not fueled by your own strength. It is sustained by the breath of God. As long as he lives, your light will burn, and he does not grow weary. He does not falter. He does not fail. So when the attack comes, lift your head and say, "This light within me is greater than the darkness against me." Declare the truth that the enemy cannot touch the flame of God. Pray with boldness, stand with faith, and know that every shadow must bow to the light. For greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And one day, when you look back on the storms you endured, you will see what the enemy never wanted you to realize, that his attacks did not weaken your light. They only made it shine brighter. The battles that should have broken you became the very moments your faith became unshakable. The hardships that threatened to snuff you out became the testimonies that set others free. Yes, the attacks are real, but they cannot win. Your light is stronger because your God is greater. And nothing can extinguish what he has placed within you. There is a temptation when life becomes difficult to let your light fade, to grow weary, to let disappointment settle in your spirit, to allow bitterness or anger to dim what God has placed within you. But the call of God is not to fade. It is to keep shining. The world does not need more voices of despair. It needs people who will stand in the fire and still glow with hope. Your light was not meant to flicker for a moment and then die. It was meant to endure, to remain, to be a witness through every season of your life. The enemy knows he cannot extinguish the light, so he will try to cover it. He will tempt you to grow resentful, to hold grudges, to give in to hopelessness. If he can convince you to stop shining, he has won half the battle. But you must resist that. You must guard your heart, for it is the lamp through which God's light shines. Do not let unforgiveness cloud it. Do not let fear dim it. Do not let discouragement put a veil over it. Every day you choose to shine, you are declaring to the world and to the enemy that God's power is greater than the circumstances around you. There was once a man who lit a lamp each night outside his small home. It was nothing more than a simple act, something he did without fail. Neighbors often wondered why he bothered, for it was such a little light against the vast darkness of the night. But then one winter evening, a traveler lost his way in a snowstorm. Seeing that little light, he found the road, reached safety, and later said, "That lamp saved my life." Friend, you may feel as though your light is too small to matter, too weak to make a difference. But if you keep it shining, even when no one else understands, you may be saving someone from losing their way. It is not the size of your light that matters. It is your faithfulness in keeping it lit. Some shine with great platforms, others in quiet corners of the world. Some shine with words, others with silent acts of love. But each flame matters. Each flame carries power, and each flame, when joined with others, lights up the darkest of nights. That is why you cannot allow your light to fade. Someone, somewhere, is depending on it. Jesus said, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Notice that he did not say, "Let your light shine only when life is easy." He said, "Let it shine always, in the good days and the hard days, in the victories and in the valleys, in the times you feel strong and in the moments you feel weak, because your perseverance in shining is what speaks most loudly to the world. Anybody can shine in the sunshine. It is when you shine in the storm that others take notice. Think of Stephen, the first martyr of the early church. As stones were hurled at him, his face shone like an angel. Even in death, his light did not fade. And Saul, who later became Paul, witnessed it, that light, that faith, that unshakable glow, planted a seed in Saul's heart that later blossomed into his transformation. Stephen did not live long on this earth, but his perseverance in shining changed history. Your light is a testimony not just in words, but in endurance. Every time you choose to keep shining in prayer, in faith, in love, you are telling the world, God is real, hope is alive, darkness does not win. And that is why the call of God is this: do not let your flame fade. So what does this mean for you? It means forgiving when it is hard, because bitterness dims the flame. It means loving when you want to withdraw, because love fuels the glow. It means praising when you feel heavy, because praise keeps the fire alive. It means staying faithful in the little things, because even the smallest flame has power. My friend, do not despise your light. Do not doubt its importance. Keep it burning, protect it, nurture it, feed it with prayer, with worship, with obedience. And when you feel weary, remember this: you are not keeping the flame alive by your own strength. Your only task is to let it shine. And so I urge you, do not fade. The world is watching, heaven is watching, and your light, no matter how small it may seem, is pushing back the darkness. Keep shining, and let your life be a living testimony that the flame of God never goes out. When you carry the light of God, you must always remember it is not about you. The light within you is not meant to draw attention to yourself. It is meant to point others to the source. A lamp does not shine for its own glory. A candle does not burn to be admired for its wax. The purpose of the flame is to illuminate, to reveal, to direct. And so it is with your life. When people see your light, the goal is not that they applaud you, but that they are drawn to the one who lit the flame within you. There is a danger when people begin to admire the vessel more than the one who fills it. The world celebrates personalities, applauds success, and elevates individuals. But your light is never meant to glorify you. If others see strength in you, it is not your strength, it is God's. If they see peace in you, it is not your peace, it is His. If they see joy in you, it is not your joy, it is His. And when your light shines, you must always be quick to direct the glory back to Him. Think of the moon. It has no light of its own. By itself, it is cold, dark, lifeless. Yet at night the moon shines so beautifully that poets write about it, lovers walk under it, travelers find direction by it. How is this possible? The moon reflects the sun's light. Without the sun, the moon would be nothing but a shadow. That is exactly what your life is like. You shine not because of yourself, but because you reflect the light of God. The beauty others see in you is the reflection of His presence. There was once a missionary who labored for many years in a remote village. He cared for the sick, taught the children, and lived with kindness. One day, someone asked him, "Why do you do all this? You live so differently from the rest of us." And the missionary replied simply, "Because God loved me first. What you see in me is just His love shining through." The people of that village eventually came to faith, not because the man was extraordinary, but because his light pointed them to God. This is the ultimate purpose of your light. It is not to show off your strength, not to build your reputation, not to gather applause. It is to reveal God to a world that does not know Him. People are not transformed when they see your talent. They are transformed when they encounter God through you. And your light is the bridge that leads them to Him. Sometimes we struggle with this. We want to be noticed. We want to be appreciated. But the greatest reward is not earthly applause. It is knowing that your life has pointed someone to eternal hope. Imagine standing in eternity and having someone say, "Because of the way you lived, because of the way your light shone, I found my way to God." That is worth more than any recognition this world could ever give. John the Baptist understood this. Crowds gathered to hear him, and many wondered if he was the Messiah. But John said clearly, I am not the light. I am only a witness to the light. He lived to point others to Christ. And because he never tried to keep the glory for himself, his light fulfilled its purpose. You too are a witness to the light. Everything you do, your kindness, your faith, your endurance should say to the world, look to him, for he is the source. This also means that you do not have to fear running out of light. If the flame depended on you, it would eventually die out. But because it comes from God, it is continually renewed. As long as you stay connected to him, your light will keep burning. You may feel weary, but his strength flows through you. You may feel empty, but his fullness sustains you. Your role is not to manufacture the light, but to stay surrendered so that his light can shine through you. And when people ask you, how do you keep going? How do you keep shining? Your answer is simple. It is not me, it is God. That humility keeps your light pure. That humility ensures that your life is a true reflection of him, not a distraction from him. So never forget, the purpose of your light is to glorify God, to show the world that he is real, that he is love, that he is faithful. When you shine, do not stop at yourself. Always point upward, always direct the gaze of others to the source. Then your life becomes more than just a light in the darkness. It becomes a pathway leading others to the eternal light that never fades. My beloved friend, never forget this. You carry a light the darkness cannot extinguish. You may feel weak, but your light is strong. You may feel small, but your light is mighty. You may feel forgotten, but your light is eternal. So tonight, lift your head high. Keep walking, keep walking, keep believing, keep shining. The world is waiting for your light, and the darkness has no power to put it out.